Hi, this is Ralph Lemmel, and I would like to show you today how we deal with technology and language-related metadata in the one-on-one companies project. So the kind of metadata that I have in mind here is basically about explaining how files in a repository relate to technologies and languages. So we will do this here by using ANTLR as the running example. So basically we want to see what files in the ANTLR-based implementations relate actually to ANTLR in what way, okay? So I hope you know ANTLR. ANTLR is a parser generator, pretty cool one by Terence Parr. And so just as an example here, you see the syntax of companies expressed in the ANTLR notation. So this is more or less executable as is with ANTLR. You would get an acceptor in this way. So in one-on-one companies repository, we have actually several ANTLR-based implementations, and just understanding how these implementations use ANTLR, for example, what files in these implementations are related in what ways to ANTLR, that's the interesting thing, right? Okay, so basically what we want here is we want to come up with some rules explaining when a file is the ANTLR library, or an ANTLR grammar, or an ANTLR generated parser, or some Java source that maybe imports ANTLR, the ANTLR runtime. So in the one-on-one companies project, we have the so-called one-on-one meta language. It's a metadata language that indeed is precisely meant to express such rules. And so we will just look at these rules for ANTLR. And this might also help you to understand in general how we deal with technology and language-related metadata. Here's our first rule. This rule has as a condition that we are interested in file names with a base name matching this regular expression here. So basically, if a file name has ANTLR hyphen whatever .jar in it, then this is presumably the ANTLR library. So this is what we assign to it as metadata, to that file, if it has this sort of file name, right? And actually, rather than just assigning some comment to it, we express actually relationship with this metadata unit here. We say this file is conceptually considered part of ANTLR, ANTLR being a technology, right? So all the names that we use here, I mean, this technology name ANTLR is of course already supposed to be known to one-on-one companies. So let me just click it here. So yes, I mean, of course we do have a wiki page for technology ANTLR. So basically these rules are supposed to associate files with technologies and languages as they are already known on the wiki. Yeah, so this is our first rule, and generally these rules consist of a condition part, saying what files or fragments thereof we are interested in, and of some metadata part, saying what metadata is assigned to that file. Okay, here's our next rule. This rule is concerned with file names or files whose name has the suffix .g. This is actually the suffix used by ANTLR for grammar files. And the relationship that we establish here hence is that we say this file serves as an input of ANTLR. Okay? Next rule. So now this time we want to deal with the situation that some file, some Java file, as you see, can be claimed to be an ANTLR generated parser, or can be claimed to be the output of ANTLR. Now, in this case, using the file name pattern alone would be too weak. You know, everyone could call a file parser.java with something in front. I mean, that wouldn't be sufficient to conclude that ANTLR is involved here. So what we do is we add another part to the condition part here, namely we say that we look at the content, at the text of the file, and we look for this pattern. Essentially we look for a Java comment here, $ANTLR, again some characters, and then .g, because this is the kind of signature that ANTLR places in all generated files. So basically, if the file name pattern is okay, And if we can establish that this sort of Java comment is there, then we allow ourselves to conclude that indeed this file is then an output of ANTLR, and we can think of it as an ANTLR generated parser. We can assign multiple metadata units, of course, to a file, even within the same rule. So here you see we also assign some metadata units saying this file here, this Java file, also should be associated with the general software concept of parser. Okay? Now, here we have another rule. This rule is concerned with concluding that some Java file can be said to be a source that imports ANTLR. Now, how do we know that a source imports ANTLR? Well, essentially, we are looking for a certain Java package here, namely org ANTLR runtime. This is the package name, indeed, of the ANTLR runtime. So, how do we figure out that such an import takes place? Well, of course, we could in principle, again, use this kind of content condition that we saw on the previous slide. But that wouldn't be very strong because, this would be just textual level processing. So rather what we do here is we invoke a program, technologies, Java platform, Java import. So this is basically an import checker that operates on a given file, and it uses proper fact extraction and all that to really establish that the file at hand does really import this package here. Okay, and if so, we assign the metadata to this file saying that this file depends on ANTLR, and the comment is this source imports ANTLR. Okay, so you have seen a few rules, and this is what we call metadata declaration, that we write down such rules. We have rules for many technologies, for many languages, for many contributions, and also declaring what features, for example, they implement. Lots of rules. We'll not talk about this diversity here today. So now, of course, these rules have to be properly associated, executed, right, on the files in a repository. So we have a rule engine that is part of the 101 worker infrastructure. Basically, these rules are continuously, every hour or so, applied to the repository. And then the matches are exposed, right? So we can actually explore the matches. So we can, for example, go to the site called data101companies.org. All the matches are exposed there, or we can also explore them in a designated browser. Okay? Let's look into this a little bit more in detail. So again, I mean, all the rules you have seen for ANTLR, they are stored in some .101 meta file, in the corresponding technology directory. I mean, we can just click it. So you see here are all the rules that we have seen and even more. So let's not bother too much. But that's the idea, right? That for every technology or for every language or for every contribution, we might have some rules. And now the 101 worker infrastructure indeed executes all these rules, and then it creates all kinds of files. So basically what you see here is for each and every file in the repository, there will be such a .summary.json file, and that has multiple purposes, but in particular it also lists all the metadata units that have been assigned to the file, Okay, I mean, I just have prepared this a little bit here to focus on rules that we have seen. Okay, but in this way, all the matches are made explicit and are published so that other functionality can consume these matches. And actually, one piece of functionality that consumes all the matches is the 101 Explorer that's also available on the web. Right, so in this Explorer you see here can be used to browse contributions. For example, here we are looking at one specific ANTLR contribution, ANTLR objects, and you see all the languages that have been determined on the grounds of rules. You see the technologies that have been determined on the grounds of rules that we have seen, and you see what files have been associated with ANTLR related metadata. Okay. So there's a related paper if you want to know more about this metadata business. And other than that, thank you for listening, and please get in touch. And all the material for the presentation is of course online. Thanks.